Hey guys, KingBar06 here, and we're back with another video. In this one, I am doing a practice session on lips. I hope you guys end up enjoying this process and my commentary. In this video, I will be discussing my thoughts on a multitude of anime I've recently watched. For this specific video, I will be discussing my thoughts on Kuroko's Basketball and Ahiru No Sora. Kuroko's Basketball was my return to sports anime. Prior to watching it, the only sports anime that I have seen were Hajime no Ippo, which was the fourth sports anime I've seen in general, and Skate the Infinity. It's been a while since I've seen Hajime no Ippo, but I can say that it has proved to me that anime can enhance anything in real life. Watching real life boxing is absolutely boring in comparison. It's a lot slower paced and less is going on in comparison to Hajime no Ippo. The series introduces the protagonist, Ippo Makunouchi, a nice high schooler who helps his mom out with her fishing business, in which they help groups of people go out to boats and fish. Ippo was constantly carrying heavy loads of stuff such as bait, supplies, etc. Because of this, Ippo's body had to get accustomed to this and he gained a lot of physical strength. He is generally stronger than the average high schooler of his age. I believe he starts the series around 15 or so. This ties directly into his boxing because the dude has a very heavy punch and his general boxing style revolves around just massive offense and massive power and little to no real defense. I would go on, but this section is specifically about Kuroko's Basketball, and besides, I don't remember enough about Hajime no Ippo to continue going and go in depth as I would like to. So as you guys already know, I play basketball in real life. It is by far my favorite sport, and I'm currently working on my vertical jump so that I can dunk a basketball on a 10-foot rim. Kuroko's Basketball starts out at Seirin High School, which is one of the major settings of the series. Riko Aida, Junpei Hyuga, Shun Izuki, Rinosuke Mitobe, and Shinji Kogane are trying to recruit new students to join the Seirin High School basketball team now that the new year has started. Two eventual stars end up joining the team. The phantom member of the Generation of Miracles, Tetsuya Kuroko, and a future prodigy, Taiga Kagami. Similar to a series such as Fairy Tail, where the anime focuses on a group of people rather than fixating on one specific character, Kuroko's Basketball focuses on the Seirin team as a whole. One thing that makes this series different from what I'm used to from Hajime no Ippo is how there is little time focused on off-court or off-sport stuff, such as the players' experience in school, their social lives, their hobbies, their family lives, their personal lives, etc. The series has a very keen focus on basketball and everything leading up to the games, such as practice, training, etc. Speaking of the basketball games themselves, honestly, just like Hajime no Ippo, the series really enhances each play and each move within the game. I also like how a lot of players have one specific aspect that gets highlighted and they get a fair chance at the spotlight, rather than one person taking over the whole show. Except for Toho Academy. Yes, the team is strong as a whole, but Denki Amine specifically, the ace of the Generation of Miracles, likes to do everything by himself, and he has the skills to do so. His style of basketball is so unconventional that there is no real way of guarding against him. Amine tends to use street ball moves and he has no fundamental way of playing the game. For example, he'll jump away from the backboard and shoot a layup from out of bounds without looking, and he'll just swish it like it's nothing. That's not really an easy thing to guard, as that would require someone to go out of bounds just to get a hand up. Denki also has his formless shot in which he can throw the ball straight at the basket rather than just shooting. So imagine someone throwing a baseball at 90 plus miles an hour. Denki can essentially that's how his shooting works. He can just throw the ball straight into the basket. It's very hard to guard that because generally you're used to people shooting with two hands. One hand to secure the ball and the other to guide the ball into the basket. I can honestly go on about each of the Generation of Miracles and their specialties and even some of their special moves, but I digress. Each game focuses on each major play, and the fluidity of the players on the court is honestly just masterful. The extra effects signify special moments within the games, a prime example being Kagami's eyes glowing when he's in the zone. Really adds to the flash and the oomph factor to the games. I will repeat this. The main focus on the series are the games. And to be even more clear, it's not just about the plays of each team and the final box score, but the psychological effect that each play has on the teams as a whole and the players. There have been a multitude of emotional moments for players in response to actions from others. If one player is unstoppable, the other team gets upset and discouraged. If a team is losing, one player may get angry and lose sight of the joy that comes from the game of basketball. The crowd may get involved, whether they're booing or they're cheering or they're trying to hype up one team. There's just so many different aspects to look at when you see each and every game. For those of you who haven't seen this series and have some interest in basketball, I highly suggest you give it a try. Even if you're not a basketball guy, at least give it a try before turning it down. If I turned down a sports anime because I'm not familiar with the sport itself, I would have never watched Haikyuu, but I'm glad that I did. I don't remember all the major characters in the series, but I still want to touch on Ahiru No Sora, the only other basketball anime that I've seen. One major difference between this and Kuroko's basketball is the overall amount of focus on things outside of the game. As I stated in the Kuroko's basketball section, Kuroko's basketball has a heavy focus on the basketball games themselves and the training involved to winning those games. With Ahiru No Sora, the basketball team develops as the episodes go on. At first, Sora is the only member of the Kuzuryu High basketball team that's serious about the game. Heck, Chucky, Nabe, and Yasu had absolutely no experience with basketball beforehand. Because of this, the team has to start from the bottom and get to the top. After Sora wins the 1v5, yes, Sora played 5 people by himself and he won 10-1, meaning he scored 10 times and they only stopped him once. His skills are definitely impressive and he continues to work harder given that he is quite short. In a sport like basketball, being tall gives you an advantage when it comes to rebounding, scoring in the paint, inside defense, as well as other aspects. But the game isn't impossible to dominate if you're a short player. One simply has to work harder and work around someone else's superior height. People like Nate Robinson, Spud Webb, Kyle Lowry are examples of such players. Because this series has a focus on the development of the team itself and the story behind some of these players, there's a lot more going on with each of them outside of their individual skills. This is what I love about the series. We are introduced to a wide variety of characters with unpredictable personalities. As the episodes go on, relationships between characters develop and change and everything ties into their play. Chuck and Nabe, for example, quit playing basketball at first, but then they get back into it because of the girls. They want to get the attention of attractive females. Yasu actually starts enjoying the game and wants to improve his skill set overall. Toby made a promise to his little sister that he intends to keep that involves winning. As a result of playing basketball, each player's personality changed off the court as well as a result of playing for Kuzuryu High School. The delinquents have been forced to end their days of fighting since the agreement to the school was for them to stay out of trouble entirely. The most major event that I can think of for the series is when Sora's mother, Yuka Kurimatani, dies. To preface, Sora has always worn his mother's shoes that she gave him when playing basketball. Those shoes have sentimental value and hence, even when Sora has been physically assaulted, he's made sure to protect his shoes. But things changed when Yuka died. Sora decided that he needs to fly on his own, so he got a new pair of basketball shoes to symbolize that he will now be flying on his own. One thing about the series that I don't like is how the games feel way too dragged out. In comparison to the fast-paced, action-packed, flashy, emotionally involved games of Kuroko's basketball, I feel that Ahiru No Sora is lacking in comparison. It felt like a drag, shout out to Shikamaru, to see these games go on for multiple episodes and there's no real progress being made, whether it's progress within the game itself or progress of the development of the characters. During timeouts, I didn't feel any kind of intensity or strong emotion from anyone in comparison to what I saw in Kuroko's basketball. Within Kuroko's basketball, something was being done in the timeouts and the characters are adapting as the game goes on. Not that this doesn't happen in Ahiru No Sora, but it's not nearly as apparent and I don't think it's nearly as impactful. I will say that I did not expect Kuzuryu to lose every single game in this series, and honestly, I'd like to see an extension of the series because I want more Sora, Momoharu, Toby, and everyone else too. You know a series is good when you want more when it ends. I was going to discuss Haikyuu as well, but this commentary has gone on long enough. Hence, I will give a brief version of my thoughts regarding Ahiru No Sora and Kuroko's basketball. Kuroko's basketball is a series that has a very clear focus on basketball itself and nothing else really. It has its emotional moments of seriousness, comedy, and all the rest just like most anime. The flashy and fast-paced animation really suits this series and enhances the aesthetics of the game of basketball within the fictional realm. If you want a deep story of the characters themselves, this series isn't for you. In contrast, Ahiru No Sora has a heavy focus on the character development of the people involved within the Kuzurio High School basketball team. Each team has to deal with their own issues, and they evolve within the series, as well as each character within these teams and each person involved within these different basketball teams. The basketball games themselves aren't nearly as appealing. I wouldn't recommend watching this series if you want to see cool-looking basketball games. If that's what you want, I would watch Kuroko's basketball. I've wanted to do a commentary talking about these two series for a while, but I didn't have the right video planned up for it. I will let you guys know that I will be doing another Tsunade video in 2 random characters. You'll have to tune in if you want more information regarding all of that. I thank you guys for sticking around to listening to my commentary, and if you have any topics you want me to discuss, be sure to leave it in the comments down below.